you've been alone. Whether by choice or by circumstance, the world's noise faded. The pressure to connect, to chase, to perform, it stopped. Maybe you were healing, maybe you were building, maybe you just needed to disappear, but now you're ready to re-emerge. And a question burns inside. Can I still create attraction? Can I build tension, chemistry, desire, after I've been away from women, touch, and conversation for so long? This video answers that question with clarity and precision. If you've ever feared that you've lost your edge or forgotten how to connect, this will reawaken something real in you. Sexual tension isn't about saying the perfect thing. It's not about performance, status, or smooth lines. Sexual tension is about energy. And energy doesn't die when you go silent. It builds. Some men think that time away makes them cold. Others realize it makes them magnetic if they know how to return the right way. That's the shift we're about to make, from stillness to fire, from inner work to outer connection, from solitude to presence that makes her lean in before you even speak. Let's begin. Number 1. Understanding solitude versus isolation. Solitude is not the enemy of attraction, it's the foundation, but only if it's real solitude, not emotional hiding, not unconscious numbing. There's a difference between being alone by design and being alone because you've shut yourself down. Solitude is active. You're aware, you're listening to yourself, you're clearing noise, you're coming home to your center. Isolation is passive. You're avoiding, you're withdrawing not to find peace but to escape pain. A man in solitude sharpens. A man in isolation softens into confusion. So the first step isn't speaking to a woman. It's asking yourself, where have I really been? If your time alone was honest, if you faced yourself, sat in your silence, moved through your triggers, then you're not behind. You're ahead. You've built a type of stillness most men never access. And that stillness? That's what creates tension. When you re-enter the world with a grounded nervous system and a quiet mind, you don't need to chase. You don't even need to say much. You just exist differently. You walk into a room and people feel something. You speak and your voice lands. You pause and your silence creates curiosity. That's the reward of real solitude. It forges presence. But if you've been hiding, numbing, disconnected, then before you engage with anyone else, you must reclaim your aliveness. That doesn't start with social skills. It starts with breath, with movement, with remembering that your body is the home of your masculine presence. And it needs to be awake before it can be attractive. You do not build tension by acting like someone you're not. You build it by remembering who you are and letting that truth rise through your body, your posture, your voice, your eyes. Whether you've been gone for months or years, whether you chose to leave or life pulled you into the dark, you're not starting from zero. You're starting from stillness. And that's a powerful place to begin. Number 2, sexual energy is a muscle, not a mood. Most men treat their sexual energy like a light switch. Either it's on or it's off. Either they feel it or they don't. And when they've been in solitude, emotionally detached, physically untouched, socially distant, they assume the switch is broken. They think they've lost it. But that's not how masculine energy works. Sexual tension, attraction, the deep pull between you and a woman, all of that doesn't come from mood. It comes from your nervous system, your breath, your eyes, your energetic clarity. It comes from your ability to direct your attention, stay grounded in your body, and hold tension inside yourself first, which means it can be trained, like a muscle. When you've been out of the game for a while, when you haven't flirted, touched, teased, or engaged, you might feel numb, empty, disconnected. But that numbness isn't weakness, it's dormant strength. Your body hasn't forgotten, it's just gone quiet. And now, it's time to wake it up. So how do you rebuild your sexual tension after silence? First, start with breath. Your breath is your anchor. When you control your breath, you control your energy. Most men shallow breathe. Their chest is tight. Their neck is strained. They speak quickly, react fast, and burn out their presence before they even sit down. You can't hold tension if your body is already escaping the moment. Breathe into your belly. Slow down. Lengthen your exhale. Hold eye contact without tensing your jaw. This alone starts activating your sexual polarity, because you're no longer reacting to the world. You're containing yourself. And containment is attractive. Second, reclaim your voice. A man who's been in solitude often loses his vocal rhythm. He's quiet. He doubts the sound of his own opinions. But voice is vibration, and vibration is power. Speak from your chest. Slow your tone. Cut 30% of your words, and let the silence do the rest. Women don't respond to noise. They respond to resonance. And third, train your micro-expressions. Sexual tension doesn't explode. It simmers. A slightly raised eyebrow, a 2-second pause before answering, a head tilt, a blink that lasts just half a second longer than usual. These are the signals that speak to her body before her brain catches up. Most men think seduction starts with touch, but it starts way earlier, in the moment she feels your attention hold her without flinching. When she realizes you're not in a rush, you're not seeking approval, you're enjoying the tension and letting her feel it too. That's what happens when you train your sexual energy like a muscle. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. A glance becomes a message. A pause becomes a whisper. A shift in posture becomes a memory she can't shake. And the best part? You never have to say anything she hasn't heard before. You just say it with stillness, grounding, and slow, deliberate energy. Suddenly, ordinary words feel powerful, because they're coming from a man who's reconnected with himself first. So if you've been quiet, disconnected, alone, don't panic. You're not broken, you're untrained. And training begins now. Every breath, every interaction, every glance is an opportunity to rebuild the tension that once came naturally. You're not trying to get something from her. You're reactivating something in you, something ancient, something magnetic, something that doesn't need to be loud, because its silence says more than most men ever will. Number 3, rebuilding polarity without force. Most men, after a long time away from women, feel this internal panic. A quiet but heavy voice says, "I've forgotten how to do this." So when they try to return, they compensate. They overthink what to say. They push too hard. They lean in too quickly. They try to force attraction instead of letting it build. But real polarity, the kind that makes her lean in, hold her breath, smile without understanding why, doesn't come from pressure. It comes from presence. The more you try, the less she feels. Because trying comes from fear. It says, "I need to do something to make this happen." But presence comes from fullness. It says, "I don't need anything from this moment. I am already enough." When you've been in solitude, your greatest asset isn't your words or your techniques. It's your silence. You've been quiet. You've been listening. You've been internal. That's rare. And when you walk into a conversation or a room or a woman's attention carrying that inner stillness, she feels it before you speak. That's where polarity is born. You are not meant to chase. You are meant to hold your ground and let the polarity of your presence create contrast. Feminine energy is emotional, expressive, dynamic. Masculine energy is rooted, observing, anchored. When you return from solitude, your role is to reclaim that anchor. And that starts with your awareness. Start noticing when you speak too quickly to fill silence. Slow it down. Notice when your eyes dart to check her reaction. Hold your gaze. Notice when your posture starts leaning in for approval. Pull it back. Be the mountain. Let her be the wind. Polarity comes from the difference between energies, not from tactics, not from game, but from embodiment. Women don't want a man who performs. They want a man who feels solid, emotionally, physically, energetically. And that kind of man can flirt without needing outcome, can speak without seeking validation, can touch without grasping. You don't need to be intense. You just need to be grounded. That means being okay with the pauses, with the unknown, with her testing you, with her silence. Because when you don't react, she feels the contrast. She feels safe, seen, desired without being pressured. And that, more than any line or move, is what creates polarity after you've been in solitude. You've learned to hold yourself. Now you're learning to hold her, not physically, but energetically, with your presence, with your calm, with the quiet fire behind your eyes that says, "I've been still long enough. I'm ready to see you." That's how you rebuild polarity, not by chasing energy, but by becoming the energy she wants to surrender into. Number 4, speaking to a woman's body through stillness. You've heard it before. She can feel your energy. But what does that really mean? It means that long before you say anything that matters, long before you even touch her hand or ask her out, her nervous system is already reading you. Your posture, your eyes, your silence, your stillness, your ability to hold your own space. Most men walk into a room or a conversation trying to perform. They want to be funny, charming, interesting. They think the words will carry the connection. But women don't fall for words. They fall for what your body says without you saying anything. And the body speaks loudest when it's still. Stillness doesn't mean standing frozen. It means not leaking energy. It means your thoughts, your breath, your gaze, and your intention are all aligned. You're not fidgeting. You're not looking for cues. You're not trying to fill the moment. You are the moment. When a man is deeply still, a woman's body relaxes around him or becomes aroused by him. Sometimes both. Because deep down, women are constantly scanning. Can I trust this man to hold me? Not just physically, but emotionally, energetically? Can he hold the moment, hold tension, hold silence without collapsing into it? Stillness answers yes, without needing to prove it. Here's how it works. You're in conversation. You ask her a question, one that touches something deep, something real. She starts to speak. Most men would interject, comment, or relate. You don't. You hold eye contact. You listen. You let the words settle before you reply. That space you create, it's not empty, it's electric. It says, I'm not afraid of your emotions. I can feel them. I can sit with them. I can make space for all of you. That's when she starts responding physically. Her breath changes. Her gaze softens. Her body leans in. And you haven't touched her once. Stillness is what makes your presence land in her body. It's also what gives weight to your words. When you speak from stillness, your voice vibrates differently. It doesn't reach out, it draws in. It doesn't chase, it attracts. It doesn't entertain, it penetrates. And most importantly, it's felt, not understood. Felt. You could say the most basic sentence, tell me more about that. And if it's coming from a grounded, silent center, it lands with more power than 100 clever lines. This is how you speak to a woman's body. By not needing to say much at all. By letting her feel you before she ever hears you. And after a long period of solitude, this is your greatest strength. You've learned to be with yourself. Now use that stillness to become a space that pulls her in, not with force, but with undeniable energetic gravity. She doesn't want a man who reacts to her. She wants a man who can contain her, not with his arms, with his presence. Stillness is how you start. Number 5, from solitude to seduction. You've been in silence, you've slowed down, you've rebuilt. But the moment comes when you want to re-engage, with people, with women, with desire. And here's where most men make their biggest mistake. They try to return as if nothing happened. They try to be who they were before they left. They try to match the rhythm of the world. They speed up, they reach out, they perform. But that energy, the rushing, proving, performing, is the exact opposite of what they spent months cultivating in solitude. You don't return to the world as who you were. You return as something new, something heavier. Still, you return as a man who owns silence, and that silence becomes your seduction. Seduction doesn't begin with touch. It doesn't even begin with words. It begins with contrast. The contrast between the noise of everything else and the stillness of you, the moment she feels your attention, not desperate, not needy, not passive, but focused, calm, and controlled. Her body begins to respond. That's the point of tension. That's the start of seduction. And here's how you carry that energy into the world without breaking it. Start small, but start intentionally. You don't need a nightclub or a dating app to reawaken your edge. Start with micro interactions. Look the barista in the eye when you order. Speak slowly to the cashier. Let your shoulders stay open as you walk through a room. Carry awareness in every movement. You're not flirting. You're re-establishing your masculine presence in the world. Speak less, but with weight. When you begin talking to women again, don't compensate for lost time. Don't overshare or over-impress. Use pauses, own silence. Let her fill space if she needs to, and never interrupt that rhythm. You lead by anchoring, not by speeding up. Let your body speak first. Touch is not always needed, but if it comes, it must be intentional. A handshake that lingers 1 extra second, a shoulder bump followed by eye contact, a playful tap paired with a still gaze. These aren't actions. They're statements of awareness. They say, I see you, and I'm here. Practice until it's instinct. You won't get it perfect the first time. You might feel awkward. You might question if the stillness is working, but stay with it. This is the real game, not lines, not status, not outcome, but presence. The more you practice being grounded in public, the more women feel your energy shift in private. Own that you've changed. You're not the same man you were before solitude, so don't try to act like him. Act like the man who's been through silence and came out with more clarity, more control, more depth. That's the man she feels. That's the man she remembers. This is how you move from solitude to seduction. You don't abandon your stillness. You weaponize it. You don't rush to be understood. You let your energy speak for itself. Because when she feels you, and not just hears you, when your presence says everything your words don't, that's when the seduction begins. And if you've been gone long enough to lose your old patterns, good. That means you're free to return with nothing but power. You thought you were falling behind. That being alone for too long had made you slow, cold, invisible. That maybe, just maybe, the edge you once had was gone. But what solitude really did, if you were honest with it, is forge something most men will never find. It gave you presence. It gave you silence. It gave you back to yourself. And now you know something most never do. You don't build sexual tension by trying. You build it by standing still. It's in your breath, your posture, your eyes, your voice. It's the calm in you that makes her nervous in the best way. It's the pause before you speak that makes her lean in. It's your ability to ask, listen, hold, and lead without flinching, forcing, or pretending. You now carry a gift that only solitude can give, the gift of not needing anything from the moment and still becoming the most powerful part of it. So no, you didn't lose your edge. You grew sharper. You didn't go soft. You went deeper. You didn't fade. You became magnetic. And now that you're stepping back into the world is going to feel it. Because when a man returns from silence with clarity, he doesn't ask for attention. He commands it, not through noise, but through stillness that makes people feel something before they even understand why. This is who you are now. You don't chase women. You don't chase validation. You walk into a room and let the world remember what a man who knows himself truly feels like. If you stayed with me to the end of this video, comment "Unstoppable" right now. Let me see the men who are not starting over, but rising from solitude with more precision, calm, and edge than ever before. Subscribe if this spoke to you on a level no one else ever has. This channel is for men who don't want more tricks. They want transformation. Like this video if it activated something inside you. Share it with a brother who's been in his own silence too long and is ready to rise. Because supporting this channel doesn't just help me, it helps every man who's been told his quiet is weakness, when really it's the beginning of power. See you in the next one.